Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me, co-worker, teammate over there at FANRUN Sports Radio, Fox Sports, Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that FANRUN radio app. It's Bob Baskerville. Bob, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
I'm great, Chase. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. You're doing the circuit today on the drive right before with Russell, and you got under review for 3 hours before that, and now you're coming on the Chase Thomas podcast. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. I've got, and I gotta, starts all over again. I got to prep for tomorrow's show too.
There you go. Well, don't forget the advice I gave you, like the throat comfort medicine after this. A lot of talking today. Have you been able to try it?
Yeah, no, I've not, but it's on my list, and I feel I've been better the last couple of weeks. It's but that leads me to believe that there was definitely some allergies at play and everything else. So I'm always looking for a solution. I've always got some throat spray in my carry-all, so I always have that. But yes, I do. I need to. I was on a warm tea kick for a while. I'm past that now for the moment, at least.
Oh, I'm a warm tea guy. I had green tea before we jumped on here. That's my post-work snack is my green tea. I love green tea. And then at night, got the sleepy time tea. And then if my throat's bothering me getting ready for the morning, got the throat comfort. I gotta stay. I stay ready in the tea department. It's one of the more nerdy things about me is I take my tea very seriously.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm not a coffee guy. I'll have an iced coffee every once in a while, but that's about it. I'm more of a tea guy myself, whether it's hot or cold. I love tea.
Interesting, because you always have a Starbucks mug. So is that rarely coffee? Is that usually tea?
Yeah, a lot of times it's like a chai tea latte or something.
Never knew that.
Yeah. No, a lot of the times I was bringing the Starbucks cup in, it was hot tea, and I was paying through the nose for some hot tea. I was like, yeah, I need to just make it at home and bring it along. Because
I used to be a black coffee guy, and then I got to my 30s where it started like not sitting with me the same. Like it was like causing some problems in my esophagus, and I'm like, I'm just not built like that anymore. So now I put some cream in there and some raw sugar cane a little bit. And I never used to be that guy because I always used to be proud, the black coffee part of it, and be like, I like how coffee really tastes. And now I'm a Folgers classic roast and a little bit of creamer, a little bit of raw sugar cane. And that's it, man. And I keep it rolling. It's just fuel,
Yeah, you're like my mom. My mom used to be a black coffee drinker. I could never do it. Never. So yeah.
Well, Bob, we have a lot of Tennessee stuff that I kind of having been on this show is like it's very conversational. I like to have a laid back approach where we're like at a coffee shop, just talking a little bit different than the radio format. So I like getting working out both muscles, whether it's the podcasting and radio front. And I was reading a column today from John Adams over in the Knoxville News Sentinel, writing about just the history of teams starting off ranked, unranked. Like it's easy to forget that 2022 Tennessee opened the season unranked. Correct. And they obviously finished they finished 10-2. They're right there in the CP. If there's a 12-team playoff, Tennessee's in there in 2022. And it goes to show, like, you don't really know. Like it just because you're not ranked before the year. I mean, USC, I don't think is ranked in their AP poll before this year, and I'm pretty bullish on the Trojans. We'll see what happens there, but it's not the end all be all if you're not ranked. But Tennessee barely slid in there at number 24. Do you see a scenario? Because I guess I hadn't really thought about the fact that is in play at the end of the year. I mean, how much do you have to squint to see Tennessee finishing the season unranked? Is that like at 7-5? Could they still be ranked at 8-4? Do you see a scenario like that?
I think they could be ranked at 8-4, just given who those losses likely would be to. I mean, if you look at the SEC teams that are ahead of us. We were the 10th of 10 teams in that AP top 25 that just released.
Yeah.
I mean, and we play 4 of those teams, I believe. So, God, knock on wood, hopefully we aren't losing to all 4 of them. But I think 8-4 could keep you in the top 25. It would keep you out of the playoffs without a doubt, particularly in a 12-team field. But it is interesting. I saw some statistic, and of course it escapes me now, where they were saying there's some crazy number of teams, like there's almost been an unprecedented number of consecutive years where a team is preseason ranked in the top 10 and they end up not ranked at all when the season ends. I think Florida State was one of those last year.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you, I was talking with a guest on my show today, as a matter of fact, saying, when I saw that Tennessee was ranked 24th, when I saw in the coaches poll, Tennessee was preseason ranked 18th, I was like, that tracks. I, felt okay with that. Then when I saw us on the AP poll ranked 24th, only one vote from being 25th, I had a bit of a visceral reaction. It's kind of like, oh man, what the hell? What's going on? And the truth be told, it's like, there's so much unknown. That's kind of what you're talking about here. It's, it should not be prescriptive. Let's put it that way. And fans in general and media guys like you and I should keep that in mind, that it's like, okay, it's a reference. It's what some people think, but you nailed it. 2022, Tennessee wasn't even in the top 25
yeah.
season. So you just never know.
It's almost like, because you're at 24, part of me like wants that rat poison for this group, where I think I maybe wanted them to be out. I think I may have wanted them to be unranked, where it's like, we don't even think you're worthy of a ranking post Nico. Part of me wishes they may have just kept them out, because 24th, they're like, they can still rest in their laurels a little bit. Unranked is like, that is fuel. That is unquestionable. Like, they don't see you as a serious threat at all.
No, and think about that. I agree. I think that's a great point. And if you compounded that with something I just saw, might have been on CBSSports.com. You may have seen it, where they're now talking about how Nico, there was a big glow up of Nico at UCLA.
Yes.
Looks great. He's assuming the role as a leader. And I'm not going to lie, I look at that as like, well, damn, why couldn't you have just done that here and, stopped haggling over money? And it's all unfortunate. But my point is, if you took that and even at 24, if you add those things together, yeah, I think there is some of that. You called it rat poison or bulletin board material, whatever you want to call it. Like, man, it just feels like because in that CBS article, they were saying that about Nico, like, Tennessee may regret this move, it's too bad. And it's like, man, let's use that. Let's use that as rocket fuel for us.
Yeah, because I feel like it would have been the opposite if Nico had stayed. Because you heard the buzz where I think he would have had the preseason Heisman buzz. I think Tennessee would have been a borderline top 10 team by a lot. Because the national folks, there's just so many FBS teams, and there's so much for them to keep up with, that it's just so easy to just allocate all of your offseason preview time to quarterback. And 5-star quarterback Nico is one of the most popular, notable quarterbacks in the country. And there's a lot of eyeballs with him. And that fallout, it's just like, hey, how do you respond to no Nico? It's just, that's the end of the year. And it's just, I understand, I don't want to say lazy, because it's just hard for all these national folks to put in the time and to really dive into all these different programs. I will say, I did raise an eyebrow at one. I think we saw the same thing, where he could be good for 2 to 3 wins, Nico. And I was like, all right, Nico, I'm rooting. Like, Nico, I have no problem with Nico, the person, Nico, the player. It's more, UCLA's got a tough schedule. They did finish strong. I want to say they won 4 of their last 6 games last year, and I think that's something that people forgot. And they could be trending up. First time play caller though, and Tino Sinceri, they have a lot of questions. Like, Nico is struggling with the receivers here. In UCLA, when we're talking about like not a lot of guys out wide for Nico to throw to and ball out with, UCLA has definitely got a problem there. I just don't see it. I don't see 2 to 3 wins for Nico. And
no, I mean, I was surprised when I saw that their, the futures on them is, for total wins is like 5.5.
Yeah.
I felt we did a little bit of a preview of the Big Ten on our show last week, and we talked about each team and talked about their schedule and everything else. And for UCLA, it was like, man, it's realistic for them to possibly go 4-8. And it's not because Nico's no good. I still, to your point, there's a lot of unknowns as far as what he has surrounding him. And I think their schedule, it's not like incredibly tough, but I think it's tough enough. I mean, you open your non-conference against Utah, who is supposedly, is going to be resurgent. And we hear all that, right off the bat. They've got 2. I'm trying to think who their other non-conference game is.
They're at UNLV the next week against
right.
Dan Mullen and company. Yeah.
That's right. So, I mean, they could be 0-2 before they even get to the Big Ten. I mean, they'll win their 3rd game. It's like FCS school or something. So they could be 1-2 going into the Big Ten. And to think that means they would have to go, 4-5 or 5-4 in the Big Ten to, get that. I think that's going to be a struggle for them. I really do.
You're right on the money. I think it's like 4-8. I think the offseason buzz with Nico there. It's not a Nico thing to me. Like, it's just a talent thing and a schedule thing. Their schedule,
That's it.
like you said, they open at Northwestern. They should be favored there, but then I think they're going to be home underdogs against Penn State, underdogs on the road at Michigan State, maybe favored at home against Maryland. We'll see on that one. At Indiana, definitely road dogs.
Yeah.
Nebraska should be favored at UCLA, at Ohio State, obviously. Washington at home, they won't be favored there. And then at USC, I don't think they'll be favored. So, I mean, it's a 4-8. They're going to have to fight like all heck to make a bowl game this year.
Now, Nico could actually be statistically better than he was here because they might be doing a lot of garbage time scoring and stuff too in games. I think they'll be out of games in many instances. You talked about USC. I want to get your take, if you don't mind. I don't want to hijack the show, but what do you think of Washington this year? Fan of ours and fan of yours, Garrett Armbrust he's pretty bullish on Washington, and I just don't know enough about him. But I mean, I think Jed Fish is a good coach, and I think he inherited kind of not a mess, but it was depleted last year for sure. I don't know. I'm just curious what you think there.
Well, I think Damon Williams is going to be a good player. He flashed. I think he is kind of that. I mean, you saw what Fafita did with Jed Fish at Arizona a couple of years ago, and you saw the difference between Brent Brennan and Jed Fish year to year. Fafita was not good last year, and you saw that was Jed Fish is a really, really good offensive mind in the sport. He's been at like every job imaginable. You go through Jed Fish's history, there is not a man who is. He's kind of like that ultimate coaching journeyman where he's good, but that man, he's like Buzz Williams, kind of, where Buzz is there for 5 years and he's gone to the next one. And that just feels like Jed is like 3 years and gone. So we'll see how long he's actually at Washington. But Damon Williams, I'm pretty excited about. I think he's going to be a really good player for them and a good fit. They recruit really well. They're somewhere in the top 20, 25 in terms of roster blue chip ratio. So I think they're still in a good spot. Kalen DeBoer did not leave that cup board empty. My favorite Washington stat and why they could be the chaos team this year, Bob, is Washington has the second longest home winning streak in the country behind Georgia. They've won 20 straight home games. They don't lose home games. And they have two big home games this year that are going to be played in Seattle. I want to pull it up. I know they have Oregon at home, and that could be something that they knock out. And Ohio State. So they have Ohio State and Oregon at home. They even have Illinois, who people are throwing out as a Big Ten playoff dark horse, but they have to go to Seattle. And it's one of those things I have notched here as the season gets started of like, a lot of people are not going to predict Washington to have these big upsets this year, but they're going to be in that sweet spot where they get Ohio State at home and they get a lot of big coin flip games at home. And outside of Georgia, no one's been better at home over the last 4 seasons.
We have a home and home. Tennessee does with them, right?
I mean, well, we'll see if Danny keeps that, because I mean, we're dropping those like flies.
I'll tell you, that would be a bucket list game for me to go.
Oh, 100%. So was Provo. Like, it still bums me out that BYU Tennessee didn't happen.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. What is your gut on that? I mean, depending on if we stay at 8, maybe you keep it. Maybe you keep Washington. But if you go to 9 SEC games, I have a hard time believing you keep that Washington game.
Because who knows what they look like in a couple of years too. I mean, they could be like 40.
You want to stay away from that one. You're like, we could play Washington in the CFP. We don't need to actually go to Seattle and start the year with a loss or whatever. But again, it's a bucket list type deal. And I don't know. This is something we were talking about on the podcast a couple nights ago, but I am curious from your vantage point. If you had you and Danny White get together and you're like, hey, and Danny's like, Bob, you get one choice. Like, well, I'll go with your choice here. One home and home plus a neutral site at your venue. Who is your dream Tennessee home and home that's not on the table you think would actually be a huge success?
Oh, I think it's, and this is not, I don't think this is that novel, but because we have a history with them, I think it's Notre Dame.
Notre Dame would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's Notre Dame for me. And growing up in Indiana too, I mean, I'm not necessarily a Notre Dame fan, but I've been to enough games in South Bend to know how magical it is there. And, between that and Neyland, and oh my God, I'd be all about that. I'd love to see that be the next one, the next like high profile home and home we could do.
I would love that one. And then you could also, just to throw a bone, be like, we'll play the third one in, I don't know, the Colts Stadium. We'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll throw something like that.
Yeah, either that or, yeah, it could be in Indy, could be in Nashville, state of Tennessee, but
yeah,
Chicago, honestly,
yeah.
Notre Dame has a huge following in the Chicagoland area. So I don't know. That would just be again, even for Tennessee to have to travel to South Bend, and if it is Chicago or Indianapolis, that'd be a great trip. It'd be awesome.
It's a bucket list thing, because I mean, if you talk to, like, I'm from Jordan, you talk to any dog fan about the trip to Notre Dame years ago, it's their favorite home and home. Like, every Georgia fan loved that they had a home and home at Notre Dame. And those two games were classics. Like, those two games, Notre Dame, Georgia went down to the wire both times, and they were super memorable. Like, so many Georgia fans made the trip to Notre Dame, regardless of like, oh, it's Notre Dame, blah, 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 blah. They all jumped at the opportunity to go and attend a game at South Bend. Like, there is something different about that stadium.
So I was going to ask you, have you been to South Bend then?
For me, I think it's South Bend makes the most sense. Notre Dame would be so much fun. I think that's like the biggest what if one for me, but the most realistic that I think actually would be really good and should be happening anyway is Virginia Tech. I think you should be doing a home and home. And I think so many Tennessee fans would love to go to Blacksburg. It's not a far trip, and you can do the third one in Bristol. Like, that one to me is where you do the home and home, Bristol, and then you just keep rotating. I think it'd be great for both fan bases. I think it has way more juice than Tennessee, Virginia that we did. Like, I would much rather watch Vodtech versus Tennessee in a home and home. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. But okay, so back to the Notre Dame one. Have you been to a game in South Bend?
I have not.
Okay. It's I've been to a couple. I've been very lucky. And I went to the last time Tennessee played in South Bend, and I remember calling my wife because she didn't come. I went with a bunch of buddies, and our son was much younger then. And I remember, and I've had a few beers. I wasn't, like totally overserved, but I was feeling good. It was a great game. And I was saying, this campus is so amazing. Our son is going to go to Notre Dame. That's all it is to him. Of course he didn't, but you get the feels for that, and I grew up in a Catholic family, so that probably adds to it. And so did my wife, but it's a special place, man. It's, people get the collective eye roll sometimes when you talk about Notre Dame, but Notre Dame football is something else, man. It's pretty wild. And so when you say that I remember that Georgia game in South Bend. I wasn't there, but watching it on TV, and what a game. I mean, it was like, that's one you were like, God, I wish I was there for that. But but back to Virginia Tech. I like it. I think that would be cool if Virginia Tech could get back to where they were a few years ago. They're a little rough right now, but
did you see their AD Whit Babcock? I was reading Football Scoop earlier this week, and I think he's making a pitch to their big donors this week about like the importance of investing in football and that future. So yeah, Vodtech, it's kind of crazy that there's another generation that's growing up with Vodtech being irrelevant. And I grew up on Vodtech being a perennial double-digit win season. Like, I grew up on Michael and Marcus Vick. I grew up on Randall and Kevin Jones and all these dudes. Like, the Beamer Ball, like, that was, one of the premier programs. Like, this is a program that just dominated college football at that school. And obviously one of the best home environments in college football. And how many Tennessee fans would just love to be a part of Enter Sandman as an opponent, just for like, that would it'd be so good.
Yeah. I had a friend who went to Lane Stadium to see Metallica perform there. Said it was
the most recent time when they were just there and everything.
Yeah. Said he got just got chills when that was all going on, because how loud it was, and music and the actual band playing it. And I'd be a little jealous of that, to be honest with you. That sounded like a great night. But Brent Pry. Do we think Brent Pry's on the hot seat at Tech?
I think he's definitely on the hot seat. I think he has to get to like 6 or 7 wins. I might have to go 7. I wonder what they could do, because part of it is like, two things have to be, you have to have both, where if you're also talking about, and like, you have the AD going out meeting with donors and being like, here's what we got to get to money wise to realistically compete. Because now the ACC, with their new media distribution model, like, it's more advantageous to be good because it's based on ratings. Like, you're getting a bigger piece of the pie if you're getting better ratings. So to get better ratings, you need to be a better team. So there's more to gain for these schools who it's not an equal pie. So if Virginia Tech is back and you start spending, you talk these boosters into spending big here over the next 3 to 5 years. Hey, guess what? You might get a bigger return on your investment and everything else, because there are more eyeballs and we're getting more revenue based on more eyeballs. So I think that's one of the interesting things, where people just assume it's going to be Florida State and Miami and Clemson benefiting from this new model. I'm like, hey, if you're Georgia Tech or Virginia Tech or North Carolina, whoever, and you're like, hey, we have a window here, and they think that they're going to be better, but if we're really good, they're going to be eyeballs. Like, people will watch elite football teams, and I think people will flock back to Virginia Tech if they're relevant again. So I think that's part of it, is like, you can't have these expectations for Brent Pry you're also not going to spend at a level like Miami and Clemson and company. So I don't know. It's every school is different in their money and where they're at in their budget and this, that, and the other. And some coaches are better at handling a smaller budget than others. And I don't know. I think Virginia Tech's an interesting job if it did open up going into next year, because if I'm a coach who looks at Virginia Tech as an interesting bet on myself kind of gig, I'm like, hey, I need to know what this money's looking like. I need to know, is there a serious investment coming in this change? Or if not, and y'all are going to be serious about football again, then I don't know. Is it like Jamie Chadwell is probably the best, like he's in that market anyway? Like, I don't know. I guess it depends on what that financial commitment looks like going into next year.
Yeah, boy, you want to talk about one I got wrong. I thought when Justin Fuente went there, I was like, what a great hire.
He won like double-digit games his first 2 years.
Yeah, I was like, this guy, what a perfect match. I was bummed out Tennessee didn't go after him, to be honest, at the time. And God, the guy's doing, I think, we talked to
TCU, I think.
TCU color commentary, right? Football on the radio.
Yeah.
It's a fall from grace. I mean, it's not a bad job. I'm just saying that for a guy who probably wanted to be coaching, it's different.
It's just wild. And then you have John Gruden wanting in, and you're just like, this could be a really weird cycle with Jimbo, Gruden, and all kinds of. I'm very curious what the coaching carousel looks like this next offseason. And I mean, it's a big year for like the return home guys. Like if Rich Rod finds magic at West Virginia, those kind of guys who went back for a second run. Do other teams look back and they're like, oh, well, maybe I will go back to the well. It worked for them because it's a copycat league. You know, if it works for somebody, they're like, we could do that too.
Yeah, they got Rich Rod, Scott Frost, right, at UCLA. Yeah.
Like, does Arkansas just go, let's hire Petrino? And it worked before. Let's just put him back in that. We got to a Sugar Bowl with Petrino. Let's just make him the head coach again.
That's going to be an interesting one because by all accounts, everybody feels it's kind of fait accompli that, you know, Sam's not going to make it through he might make it to the end of the season, but he won't make it past there. So, it'll be interesting to see if they go spend a bunch of money and try to get a bigger name, or if they just look inside and give Petrino a chance to run it back.
Because he's a great play caller. I mean, Taylor Green was good, and that offense. I mean, Bobby Petrino did not forget how to coach. Like, it's all off the field stuff with Petrino. Petrino is still a great offensive mind. It's just, would you hand the keys to Bobby Petrino as a head guy in 2020?
That's right. Yeah, I
would not, but I don't know what Arkansas would do.
I think there's going to be a couple jobs open, at least in the SEC, though. I think that's. I don't want to say safe to say, but I feel pretty confident there could be, at least a couple available.
Yeah.
I think Hugh Freeze is in serious trouble, man. I think if he doesn't win at least 8 games, and even 8 games, I think there's going to be heat,
Well, I mean, he set the bar at 6. Because remember, did you hear that media comment this summer? He's like, I know I got to go. I know the Heat's on me to go bowling. I'm like, bowling? This is year 3 at Auburn. What are we talking about? But I love it. I respect it to be like, hey, I mean, I understand the Heat's on me to go bowling this year. And you're like, what? Hold on. I don't think that's what the pressure is, Hugh. I think it's like to go 8, like you said, 8, 9 wins, man.
Yeah. And they're going to learn a lot right off the bat, right? Against Baylor, because it feels.
I think Baylor's going to beat them.
Yeah, Baylor's another one that, there's a lot of chatter that they're going to be resurgent too, that they've, they got a lot of players coming back. So.
Yeah. That's the guy I wanted, by the way, in the portal window. I wanted Robertson, like 24-year-old Sawyer Robertson. He came on strong. He's in Jake Spavital running that tempo system. And I don't know, he's an absolute 1-year guy. If we could have gotten one guy for the 1-year blip post Nico, Sawyer Robertson was the one I wanted, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of quarterback and everything, Bob, I feel like we've harped too much on the quarterback receiver, kind of doom and gloom. Maybe it's the rain that East Tennessee has had over the last couple of days. We're all just kind of down in the dumps in a lot of ways, and it's permeating into our Tennessee discourse on our radio shows. But what is the most positive take about Tennessee football right now for you?
God, you just walked into my sweet spot. You might have done it today on your show. We did it in this show today. We said teams have been practicing for a couple of weeks, and all we can talk about is who's going to get quarterback. We're not impressed with what we see. Lack of depth in the receiver room. Is Boo Carter going to be a part of the team? Meanwhile, we have some skill positions that we feel are pretty loaded, honestly. I mean, I think the running back room, do we have a Dylan Sampson? Probably not, but we've got 3, I think, really good guys. I believe that.
A great guy.
I think in tandem, they can be productive. Okay. Nobody's going to have a Dylan Sampson season, but we could have 3 really productive guys. And I'm cautiously optimistic about that offensive line who would help set up the run. The tight end room is deeper than I ever remember it. I mean,
Yeah.
we got guys there, so that's what we decided to focus on today. It's like, hey, we got some things to be optimistic about, really. Now the question is, can we get that quarterback and those receivers to kind of take the next step? And that is what could really, flip the script on what, this changed the prospect of this team being 8-4 to maybe 10-2. If we get some guys over indexing at those other positions that we've spent so much time talking about. But I like our run game. I mean, Darrell Sims talking as positively as he did. The guys like Peyton Lewis talking as positively as he did, and the way he looks. I mean, I feel good about those running backs.
I feel really good too. I think Star Thomas having a great fall camp is just a quiet, I think that's a quiet win where I don't think Star is going to be, for lack of a better word, a star at Tennessee. But I do think as that veteran guy, he's a perfect, I don't want to say fallback, but perfect guy waiting in the wings. If Bishop, who has struggled to stay healthy the last 2 years, and or Peyton Lewis can't stay healthy, you are okay. Darrell Sims' room is okay where you don't have to thrust DeJuan Morris in that spot. And I think you're going to be okay either way. I think it's going to be another 2-man rotation, and it's just going to be on who's healthy that week. I think Darrell Sims kind of showed his hand a little bit last year, where I think he'd probably prefer. I mean, there's a reason you got to be going after Savion Hyder in a big way. Like you're thinking you're like that program going after Savion Hyder and what the financial implications of going after Savion Hyder. That to me says you're not trying to do the Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, Dylan Sampson trio type deal. If you can avoid it, and in a perfect world, you have the bell cow stuff that you had last year with Samp. And I think this year it's going to be another 2-man guy. Like if Lewis and Bishop are healthy, I think it's those two with Star just a little bit. But the realistic part of this is like over the course of an SEC season, people are going to get banged up. And I think Star is going to play when one of those guys can't go. And I think that's a good spot to be in.
I agree. And I do like the dimension, at least of what history shows us with Star Thomas over at Duke, where, he caught some passes, out of the backfield. And that's a dimension I feel like we haven't had as much. And I'm not saying that means he's going to get a ton of run because of that, but it's just another aspect of the run game that might help us at some point.
He also might have to start at slot, depending on where things are at in the slot position at the moment.
Yeah, that's interesting. Something tells me let me ask you that. Do you think I think Boo's not going to see the offense much. I think that's because that's the toy store. And I think the coaches are like, man, you got to earn your way back on the team, period. Not picking where you want to play.
I mean, we still got 17 days to go. I'm at a point where I need to see Boo play a real defensive snap. I don't think offense is on the radar at all. I think right now, the only thing I would say I feel comfortable with is they might just keep him at punt return and have him fair catch, just because you don't have an option. You kind of, he's maybe most valuable there right now.
I think there's a very good chance he doesn't start on defense at Star against Syracuse, but he returns punts, like you said.
Yeah. Because they don't have an option. I don't know who else they throw back there. Jamad's out. Squirrel was also the other guy doing it last year. I mean, you're not going to throw Mike or Braylon back there. You got to have them healthy. So, I don't know. I don't know who else you can really throw back there than Boo.
Yeah. No, I agree. That whole thing's fascinating to me. I don't know what to make of it, honestly.
It's just a bummer. Man, we can't do this. We can't do a segment on positive Tennessee and then end with the bummer that is the current stay of Boo Carter with Tennessee. So, but I mean, the positive is if Boo plays, he's going to be a great. I mean, Boo can flip a Tennessee game this fall on special teams alone. I mean, he almost housed that kick against Georgia. That would have put Tennessee up 14-0. And I don't know how different that would have been if Jalen McMurray makes that block on Brett Thorson. Boo's gone. Boo's a different kind of skill set. Him and Mike are the only guys I think on this roster who actually have that make the first guy miss ability. Those guys are hard to find, and that's what makes him special. That's why D. Williams so special on for lack of a better term, special teams 2 years ago. I mean, D. Williams saved you against A&M. That was a game that I don't know if Tennessee wins without D. Williams.
Game, right? As far as I was concerned.
Yeah, and that might be the case once again this year. So I don't know. Which new Vols, I know with hoop season coming back here in a couple months, I'm curious. These final two are going to be hoops related questions for you, Bob. Okay. First one, which new Vols hoop star are you more intrigued by first month of the year? Is it Jacoby Gillespie or Nate Ament?
Nate Ament. I want to see if he can I mean, boy, the early returns are very positive. He's still pretty slight. I just want to see how he can make that leap to big time college basketball. Jacoby Gillespie's done it, and from everything I'm hearing, the returns on him are fantastic too. I think I dare say, and I love Zakai, but it's like he's going to be a more valuable point guard than Zakai was because of his ability to shoot more consistently and everything else. I have little concern about Jacoby. I don't think I have concern about Nate. I just feel like I need to see something. That's all. Hearing a lot of good things, and that makes me happy because he could be really special. But yeah, I'm definitely most intrigued by what's he going to look like out there.
I think for me, I'm more interested in Gillespie early and Ament later because I want to see where Ament's at after getting comfortable in SEC. I mean, you saw Chaz Lanier. He turned the corner, right? Like it took Dalton a little bit of time to get acclimated to SEC play. But once they figured some stuff out, you could tell that something clicked. And they're also older, so it's a little bit different. But I want to see what Nate's doing in February and March. Is Nate taking over the SEC tournament? Is Nate initiating a lot of the offense come tournament? Because that to me is when things kick into high gear for Tennessee's ceiling. Is Jacoby Gillespie is early. Like I need to see early because it's just going to be so jarring not having Zakai lead this offense for the first month of the season that you're just gonna be like, this is bizarre. Like just not having Zakai out there is going to be really weird.
Yeah, and what I said about Zakai a second ago about Jacoby is a better point guard, not defensively. I mean,
no.
Zakai just special there. And I think Jacoby will be good enough on defense, but there's a big difference there. I'm just thinking from an offensive skill set aspect. I think Jacoby, I'm really very excited to see what happens there, but I have little concern about what that's going to look like. I think it's going to be very good.
No, I think it's going to be great. And I also just think Gillespie has the potential to push Braden Smith for first team All-American. Like he has that Walter Clayton type upside if all things go right for Gillespie. Zakai, loves Zakai. He didn't have that level of offensive upside because ultimately Gillespie is still a shoot force guard. Like he's a 40% shooter from three. Zakai was a clutch shooter in a lot of ways. Like he did not appear, but Zakai was looking to pass. He was looking to facilitate first. And Jacoby is going to be tasked while Nate gets acclimated and comfortable. Like the offense is going to live and die by what Gillespie does leading this group. And they're going to be looking at him to be like, hey, you're our general. You're our senior. You went deep in the tournament last year with the Crab 5, local kid. I'm very excited to see what Gillespie looks like out of the gate because if he looks like a just best guard in the SEC, our mutual friend, Ryan Shumpert made this comparison to Tennessee hoops that I think should excite every Tennessee fan is that it reminds him of Sears and Brandon Miller from Alabama 2 years ago that went to the Final Four. That could be Brandon. That could be Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie. And if they get that, I think Tennessee fans are going to really enjoy this season.
Oh, I'm buying that. That's a great one to kind of aspire to is that kind of combo. I hated them at Alabama, but God, they were so good.
Yeah. And I mean, here, that'd be a whole heck of a lot of fun. Absolutely. Final one. You know Rick Barnes well. So I thought this would be a fun question to wrap on. You could give Rick Barnes true serum for one question about this upcoming season and his basketball team right now. What question do you ask him knowing that he has to answer it honestly?
Oh, that's a good one. It would have to be, he told me he thought Jalen Carey might be the most important player that was added to this team. He said that to me before he had Nate Ament. I'd like for him to come clean and say, how special do you still believe Jalen Carey is? Is it Grant Williams special potentially, or is it something less than that? Because he's absolutely talked him up a lot. I just think that I think he's critical to the team, man. If that guy could be a 10-point a game guy, like a 10-7, 10-8 guy, and can kind of enforce on defense. It sounds to me what I've heard from Shump and others. It's like it doesn't sound like. I think they're still working on that with Jalen about like his discipline. And I mean, when I say that, I'm talking about discipline, like his physicality and all that stuff. It's like sometimes he can't harness it. And so, he got into foul trouble against us when we played him. So, but he has talked up Jalen Carey to me a lot. And so I'd kind of be like, okay, now a little more time has passed. How important is Jalen Carey really to this team's success at this point, based on what you're seeing with everybody, including the evolution of Felix and including, Cade Phillips maybe becoming more of a little bit of a perimeter oriented guy and all these other kind of interchangeable parts you have right now.
I like that one.
Estrella too,
That Estrella, I'm a big Estrella guy, and it's a big year for him, obviously. But I also think it's not a make or break, because I do think there's a path to him starting at 5 next year if he comes back for one more year. Because I think this is probably it for Felix, especially if he has a good final year. I have a hard time leaving him a senior coming back for one more year. I think that's a scenario where if Estrella shows progress and Estrella is able to handle 15 to 20 minutes and showcase his bag, and also just his thing is like the offense is there. Like Estrella, you throw it in, there's no one else in the front court that has the low post moves that JP Estrella has, and the upside and the ceiling there. But what he has to do is to see it. Like Barnes, like he's got to defend. Like it's just to earn Barnes' trust and play. Like Barnes only acquiesces for like the Dalton Connects of the world, where it's like, if you're such a flamethrower offensively, I'll live with like defensive shortcomings and everything else. But unless you're a first team All-American type, or you're like Chaz, where like this is the thing we brought you in to do, and like that we understand, Estrella's gonna have to defend, especially from outside in, because that's how Barnes loves to do, or inside out. Like Barnes loves to start. Like you know better than I imagine he hated last year in terms of his front court depth. I imagine it bothered him having just how thin he was there, because he wants what he has this year. So when you brought up the Jalen Carey thing, that doesn't surprise me at all, because Jalen Carey is the ultimate Barnes guy, where he's like, I can't wait. He's going to put a smirk on his face when he's able to throw out Cade Phillips, Jalen Carey, and Felix Okpara for 5 minutes, because he's like, we're going to go bang on some SEC guys and really make life just a living, you know what?
Yeah. Can I add a question? I would ask him, because this still comes up in conversation. Put him on the spot of, how many more years do you have coaching this team? Because there's some people who think this might be the end. And I mean, the truth is they are recruiting the hell out of, class of 26 and 27. And there's part of me that thinks, again, I've seen, he's like, there's a bit of a renaissance going on with him. He told me a few years back, I think he was still trying to get his arms around NIL and all this stuff, the portal. He was like, he was frustrated. He goes, I feel like I'm a junior college coach. I love developing players, but now I think he has gotten to the point where he understands that it's easier for him. He can still coach ball. He can be the CEO of the program, and he doesn't have to go beat the doors down on high school kids anymore. He's started to figure that out. We've heard Rick Pitino even say that too. Like, I'm not recruiting high school kids anymore. Just I'm going each year. And so there's part of me that thinks that Rick is kind of re-energized to the extent of, I think he's got more gas in the tank, but how much? Because, he's a friend, but I also think, as I'm a basketball nut, and I think we're very fortunate to have a coach like him and what he's doing and the culture he's created and staff he's built, all those things. It would stink if he's like, I'm going to be 72 next year. I think I'm done. I got enough money. I'm just going to kick back. I don't think he's wired that way. I think he's the one to coach him. But I'd love to say I could ask him 2 questions. It'd be about Jalen and about his longevity in the game.
I think he would say, this is my guess, I think he would respond and be like, can you give me till the end of the year to see what I have in Troy Henderson, Amari Evans, and Dwayne Brown?
Yeah.
Especially Troy Henderson. If he sees, not Zakai, because you're not going to have another Zakai, but if because of how important point guard is to Rick Barnes, if he thinks that's a TJ Ford type, or just that diamond, he's like, I found the next diamond in the rough that I can build, and just he can handle my offense, handle my coaching, and build that culture with him, Boswell, and those guys. Like, if I know for sure I have something on Troy Henderson, and Amari's like my new Meshack, and Dwayne Brown looks like a long-term answer at the 5, then I think I might do 3 years, 3 to 4. But if they don't seem like long-term answers, then I wonder how that changes things.
Yeah. And I think you probably know that by now. I mean, he shared it with us on our show. The Troy Henderson, there's a lot of through lines to like similarities to Sakai.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then I think that probably re-energizes him more, where he's like, I gotta I'm set.
Troy and Nate were teammates on an AAU
Right.
team, and they were scouting. He saw him there and was like, "Why aren't we looking at this kid?" And
Same kind of thing with Sakai, where it's like,
Yeah.
why aren't we? Who's this guy? And
exactly,
the rest is history.
absolutely.
Bob Baskerville, what can the good folks check out from you and Sam and the team over at Under Review from 10 to 1 right here on FanRun Radio, FanRun Radio Monday through Friday. What can the good folks check out from you guys later this week?
Later this week, we've got, we like to do what you do. We pull in, media members from around town, kind of get their take on what's going on with the Vols. We'll have a friend of the show, Ben McKee, on later this week. Another guy who he's one of the OGs from when we started Rocky Top Insider, Reed Carringer. I don't know if you know Reed at all, but he's tied in with Football Time in Tennessee. That's family business, that magazine. And Reed decided to get out of the business from a mainstream perspective. Hey, I think he wanted to just go and kind of slow downshift in his life, and he and his wife have a great family, but the guy loves the Vols and still loves ball. And Reed will join us. He's been joining me in the preseason on Fridays just to talk football, and he also knows basketball well. We'll have those guys on, and then we go into next week. It all really starts to drill down. We got a lot going on in terms of other people coming in to talk. We've had Chris Lowe on. We'll probably have him on again next week. We just kind of keep getting closer and closer to football. I keep saying, I said it today, to quote a Tom Petty song, the waiting's the hardest part. I mean, we're so close, but it still feels kind of far away, but the days really are peeling off pretty quickly. So we're looking forward to that. And we'll hold the fort down until football comes, and then it's going to be bananas, man. That's the funnest time of the year.
Absolutely. Well, Bob Baskerville, thank you as always, my friend. I will see you at the office tomorrow. Keep up the great work, and I'll see you, like I said, at the office tomorrow.
Yeah, Chase, thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.